Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel Akwa TV. If this is your first time of stopping by, thank you very much. I love you. Please do well to hit on the subscribe button, do well to like, do well to comment, and also share. This channel is all about news and history of Akwa local government area and Akwa Ibom State as a whole. In this video, I'll be sharing with you a brief history about IPC, Ibom Power Company, that is located in Akwa local government area, Akwa Ibom State. About Ibom Power Company Limited. Ibom Power Company Limited, IPC, is one of the first independent power plants in Nigeria. Akwa Ibom State Investment Corporation. The investment arm of the Akwa Ibom State government incorporated Ibom Power in 2001 as a private limited liability company under the Companies and Allied Matters Act (CAMA). In May 2008, the company received a license from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) to generate electricity. The license was amended to 685 megawatts to accommodate both the 191 megawatts phase 1 and the proposed 500 megawatts phase 2. Ibom Power receives gas from Akwa, a subsidiary of 7 Energy based on a 10-year gas sales and purchase agreement (GSPA). The plant output is evacuated to the national grid through a 49 kilometers 129 kV transmission line from Akwa to Ekiti 132/33 kV substation. The Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company (NBET) is the off-takers of the electricity produced by Ibom Power Plant. The highest decision-making body at Ibom Power Company Limited is the Body of Directors. Engineer Inyang is the chairman of the Body of Directors, while the directors are Barrister Uwem Ekanem, Honorable Inyang, Honorable Emmanuel Ebe, and Engineer Mayen Etugudo as the Managing Director / Chief Executive Officer. IPC mission: to provide steady and profitable power generation services in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria through public-private partnership. IPC vision: to become and remain the best growth and innovative power generating company in Nigeria with steady dividend payments driven by excellent employee incentives, customer satisfaction, and corporate governance. Project development: the development of Ibom Power Plant started as a captive power plant for the purpose Akwa Ibom Refinery and Petrochemical Company, although the then administration aborted the development of the refinery in 2002. The power plant project continued in phase development. The construction of phase 1 began in 2005 with the appointment of Group 5 as the engineering, procurement, and construction (EPC) contractor. Phase 1 has an installed capacity of 191 megawatts, which comprises of 3 units, 2 GE frames, 6B and 1 GE frame, 9B, gas turbine generators (GTG) installed in a simple cycle configuration. Phase 1 commenced operation on December 13, 2001 with the evacuation of 30 megawatts to the national grid. In July 2010, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan officially switched on phase 1 of the Ibom Power Plant. Incorporation: Akwa Ibom Investment and Industrial Promotion Council, now Akwa Ibom Investment Corporation, incorporated Ibom Power Company Limited (IPC) as a special purpose company under the Corporate Affairs Commission (CAC) in January 2001. Ibom Power is a private sector driven organization which runs with the highest level of professionalism consistent with good corporate governance. Power Generation License. Section 62 of Electric Power Section Reform Act 2005 provides that any person intending to engage in the business of electricity generation, transmission, system operation and distribution or trading shall be required to obtain an operator's license from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. The on-grid type of license allows the holder to generate electricity and connect to the national grid for dispatch. The most distinguishing feature of grid connection license is that the holder will enter into connection agreement with the Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN) for connection, evacuation and wheeling of power to the national grid. The license also enters long-term power purchase agreement with the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading (NBET). In May 2008, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) licensed Ibom Power Company to operate a 191 megawatt power plant. In order to accommodate both phase 1 and phase 2, Ibom Power submitted an application to amend its license from 191 megawatts to 685 megawatts on December 19, 2014. NERC approved that application on October 27, 2015. In November 2015, His Excellency Mr. Udom Emmanuel received the amended license on behalf of the Ibom Power Management. NERC renewed Ibom Power's 685 megawatt license on August 22, 2019. Powering possibilities. Phase 1 has a total installation capacity of 191 megawatts and consists of 3 General Electric gas turbines, generator, 1 frame 9E, 2 frame 6B, which are connected to the national grid through 11/132 kVA transformers. Commercial cooperation of the phase 1 of Ibom Power Plant started on December 14, 2009. Phase 2 of Ibom Power will add 494 megawatts to the installed 191 megawatts phase 1 to have a total capacity of 685 megawatts. Ibom Power Plant currently provides about 10% of the electricity supply to the south-south/southeastern axis of the national grid, with the potential to provide more at peak operation. Gas supply. Ibom Power gas turbine operates on only natural gas as driving fuel. In view of this, Akwa Ibom State government and 7 Energy collaborated to provide the first public-private sector-driven initiative aimed at utilizing the abundant natural gas reserves in Akwa Ibom State to generate power. It was upon these premises that Ibom Power Company executed a 10-year gas sales and purchase agreement (GSPA) with Akugas, a subsidiary of 7 Energy, in May 2009. The first commercial delivery of gas from the Unok field to the Ibom Power Plant commenced in January 2014. This represented a major milestone for Seven Energy and for Nigeria's power sector as a whole. Seven Energy transports the natural gas to Ibom Power Plant via a 62 km gas pipeline from their gas processing facilities. GPF at Bullock in Estate Eke local government area to a gas receiving facility in Ikotobasi. Seven Energy currently owns the Unok gas processing facility in Esereke, processing gas from the Unok and Stu Creek fields. This is the largest privately owned gas supply system in sub-Saharan Africa, owned by a Nigerian independent company. The Unok gas processing facility is the sole source of gas used by the Ibom Power Plant. Power evacuation. It is a requirement of NERC that Ibom Power, as the holders of an on-grid power generation license, will enter into a connection agreement with the Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN) for connection, evacuation, and wheeling of the power to the national grid. In June 2014, TCN granted Ibom Power Company a provisional approval for power evacuation through the Ikotobasi Eke 132 kV double circuit transmission line. In June 2014, TCN granted Ibom Power Company a provisional approval for power evacuation through the Ikotobasi Eke 132 kV double circuit transmission line. TCN currently evacuates Ibom Power Plant output to the national grid through a 49 km stroke 132 kV transmission line from Ikotobasi to Ekate 132 stroke 33 kV double circuit substation. Power Purchase Agreement (PPA). The Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company (NBET) is the manager and administrator of the electricity pool in the Nigerian electricity supply industry (NESI). It was incorporated on July 29, 2010 and is 100% owned by the federal government of Nigeria. NBET purchases electricity from the generating companies through Power Purchase Agreements (PPA) and sells to the distribution companies through vesting contracts. Power purchase agreements are contractual agreements between the energy buyer or off-taker, in this case NBET, and the power generating company to purchase and sell gas. The buyer commits to pay a fixed price per megawatt hour (MWH) for a long-term tenure for the electricity that will be generated. Ibom Power Company Limited signed an agreement with NBET on May 7, 2015. Ibom Power is currently negotiating a power purchase agreement with NBET. Awards and recognition. Winner: Best Chief Executive Award, Global Executive Leadership Program 2018, held at Howard University, Washington, D.C., USA. Winner: African Most Innovative Power Generating Services Provider 2017 at the African Quality Awards. Presented a paper at the GE Frame 9E Users Conference 2017 in Dubai. Alright guys, that's all about the history of IPC, Ibom Power Company. Now the next video I'm bringing to the screen is the protest that took place in Ikotobasi against IPC because of electricity blackouts. During the electricity blackout, the youth and residents of Akwa Ibom clan in Ikot local government area of Akwa Ibom State barricaded the entrance of Ibom Power Company IPC in protest of over 3 years of blackout in the area. The youths, joined by women and some elders, have vowed not to leave the street until the company restores power to their community. Leaders of the protest and Akwa Ibom Youth President, Mr. Benjamin Friday, said it was regrettable that having played host to IPC for 20 years now, Ikot has been in darkness while electricity is taken from the community to other parts of the country. Friday explained that the protesting youth will continue to protest until electricity supply returns to Ikot. He said that the clan has been disconnected from the national grid since 2018, adding that they have been suffering environmental hazard due to operation of IPC, yet nothing to show for it. Akwa Ibom is a landlord and host community of IPC. Since they began their operation here, there have been no memorandum of understanding or any form of corporate social responsibility. There have been no employment of our people in the company. No Akwa Ibom indigene is in the management cadre of IPC. For 3 years now, there have been total blackouts in the whole of Ikot. All we need now is electricity supply, or they shall pack their properties and go. In December 2018 and January 2019, we had a meeting with the management of IPC and the state government in Uyo, where IPC claimed they could not give us power because there are no transformers. The governor provided transformers for them to supply electricity, only for IPC to renege on their promises. So we are saying enough is enough. We are not going to live here until the management of IPC and Akwa Ibom State government come out to address us, he said. Also speaking, a former youth president of Ikot, Mr. Ime Odu Ukbe, said they have tried engaging the Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company, but it was exploitative as each house in the area was billed over 10,000 naira per month. Before now, Aluminium Smelter Company of Nigeria, ASCON, used to give us electricity until 2013 when ASCON packed up. PHEDC now came. They gave us 2 hours of supply in a week and gave estimated bill of 10,000 naira per house. We are the host community to IPC and we deserve power supply. We are tired and we cannot take it any longer. For over 20 years now, since the inception of IPC, we have not benefited anything from them. We don't want PHEDC to supply us electricity. We want direct supply from IPC. We will remain here even if it will take 1 year. All we want is power supply. The youth then decided that the company is not going to operate again. We have shut down the company and put 8 corpses as traditional injunction to stop movement into and out of the company. As we speak, there is no market in Ikot local government area. There is no shop open and there is no school going on, he said. The reporter, however, saw only one stimulated cup hung and surrounded with other fetish and juju artifacts at the gate of the company. The access road to the company
were barricaded with felled palm trees trunks supported with fetish items. Youth and women bearing placards took over the streets. The placard had different messages such as "No light, no work." Ikpa says no to darkness, no negotiation, no meeting, only light, and others. The youth and women barricaded all the road leading to the power company's office and forced traders in the adjoining market in the town to close shops.
Alright guys, that's all about the news on electricity blackouts. The next video I'll be bringing to your screen is about ASCON Company, Aluminium Smithing Company of Nigeria, ASCON. Aluminium Smithing Company of Nigeria is a company incorporated in 1989 with the federal government of Nigeria, Forrestal of Germany, and Renault Incorporated of America as shareholders on an equity holding of 70%, 20%, and 10% respectively, remains a very sad one more than 10 years after it was privatized. The company was established in order to utilize and enhance the country's gas reserve and to discourage gas flowing in the Niger Delta. Part of the objectives for setting up ASCON includes to establish a self-reliant aluminium factory, provide employment to Nigerians, impact technical development trained technicians, manpower, conserve and earn foreign exchange by meeting local aluminium demands, and to aid the development of aluminium downstream industries. ASCON was under the purview of Ministry of Industries until 1991, when it was handed over to the then Ministry of Mines, Power and Steel to manage. The plant was designed to produce 197,000 metric tons of aluminium ingot and billet per annum and started production on 15th October 1997. However, operation stopped on the 16th June 1999 due to the irreconcilable differences between Forrestal and Renault on one hand, coupled with other associated problems of lack of working capital, insufficient gas supply, and non-dredging of Imo rivers, among others. With a huge investment made into the complex lying prostrate, the federal government listed ASCON in the second phase of the privatization program in the Privatization and Commercialization Act of 1999. In September 2002, the Bureau of Public Enterprises (BPE) commenced the privatization process and requested for co-investors to express interest in acquiring the FGN shares. Available records shows that 5 companies expressed interest via ALCOA of Americans, AG of Switzerland, UC Russia of Russia, ALCAN of Canada, and Forrestal AG of Germany. After the due diligence, only the UC Russia and Forrestal submitted technical and financial bids. For submitting conditional bids then, the BPE disqualified Forrestal and German company. With the disqualification of Forrestal, UC Russia became the only disqualified bidder. BPE had to discontinue with the process with just one bidder because, in the view of the BPE, just one qualified bidder will not give the FG, that is the federal government, the plurality of choice. To enhance a more competitive bid, in 2004, BPE again invited interested companies to bid for ASCON majority stake. This time, only BFI Groups, a Nigerian lead consortium, and UC Rochelle met the initial pre-qualification requirements. UC Rochelle had also submitted conditional bids post-technical qualification, which BPE rejected, just like it did with Forrestal's bid. Eventually, BFI Group emerged as the preferred bidder with a bid price offer of $410 million, following the disqualification of UC Rochelle's conditional bid. The successful bidder, based on the transaction dynamics and condition precedents before takeover of assets, BFI Group, as the winner of ALSCON, should pay 10% of its bid price by July 8, 2004. It was obvious that BFI Group did not have money to pay for the asset, or the company could not raise the money from wherever source it hoped to get it. BFI Group could not meet the deadline for the payment of 10% of its bid price offer. BPE had no choice but to follow the rules as spelled out. With the inability of BFI Group to pay after the deadline, BPE invited UC Rochelle on the basis of a negotiated sale strategy, otherwise known as willing buyer, willing seller. UC Rochelle won the FGN equity as co-investor. The National Council on Privatization, chaired by Vice President Atiku Abubakar, approved the transaction for UC Rochelle. BPE subsequently handed over ASCON to UC Rochelle at a bid price of $250 million. However, $120 million of the $250 million will be set aside for the dredging of Imo rivers to allow vessels to come in at Ikotobasi for easy evacuation of the company's products for export. BFI Group in 2004 dragged PPE before an Abuja High Court for overturning its bid and handing over ASCON to UC Rochelle. The Federal High Court decided the case in favor of BPE. BFIG approved and also lost at the appeal court. Following the loss at the appeal court, BFI Group then took the case to the Supreme Court, where the Apex Court ruled in its favor. While BFIG was exploring its chance at Supreme Court, UC Rochelle commenced production in 2008, but insufficient gas supply to the company, as well as staff agitation due to non-payment of the balance of their terminal benefits amounting to $2.3 billion, constituted another challenge amongst others to the smooth operation of the plant. While facing operational challenges arising from the insufficient gas supply and labor matters, UC Rochelle also had to pay attention to BFIG case at the Supreme Court. On July 6, 2012, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of BFI Group with revocation of the sales of ASCON to UC Rochelle. The Apex Court reinstated BFI Group as valid preferred bidders for ASCON. BPE provided the SPA as approved by National Council on Privatization to BFIG for execution in compliance with the order by the Supreme Court. BPE told BFIG to provide a business plan as required in the SPA and execute the SPA within a period of 6 weeks. BFIG refused to execute the SPA. Instead, BFIG drafted and signed an SPA at variance with the copy issued by the BPE as ordered by the judgment of the Supreme Court. BPE rejected the BFIG version of the SPA and gave BFIG a deadline of March 18, 2013 to either execute the SPA as ordered by the Supreme Court or consider the transaction a non-lite. The transaction for the sale of ASCON to BFIG as the co-investor was terminated after the expiration of the deadline of March 18, 2013, within which to sign the SPA and pay 10% of the bid price as ordered by the Supreme Court. BPE again reinstated UC Russell as the co-investor in ASCON. BFI Group went back to the court to complain BPE to reinstate her as the winner of ASCON. The company got a favorable ruling and appeal, and the case is yet to be determined. As a result of the uncertainty created by the judgment and the delay to resolve the case, UC Russell and ASCON had suffered grief damages, as most of developmental projects as the company have been put on hold. ASCON / Russell, in incurring enormous losses, have to maintain the plant and staff without being in operation. Consequently, the company retrenched most of the workforce in order to minimize losses. Concerned that major national economic assets is wasting away and bogged down with legal encumbrances, the traditional ruler of Ikotabasi, the host community, and his chiefs, in conjunction with the Akwa Ibom State government, made various representatives to the federal government to find amicable resolution. Arising from this protracted legal tussle, the BPE recently sent a memo to the Vice President, Prof. Yemi Osibanjo, to invite both UC Russell and BFI Group for an out-of-court settlement. Several mediatory meetings have been held, some at the ministerial level, to explore both administrative and political approaches to resolving this impasse, to no avail. It is clear that BFI Group does not have both financial and technical ability to run the plant, but would rather continue with throwing legal obstacles at the expense of national interests. At the meeting of the National Council on Privatization (NCP) held in August 2017, the council approved an out-of-court settlement to resolve the lingering dispute between the FGN, BFIG, and UC Russell through mediation with the active collaboration of Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. Subsequently, BPE provided another SPA to BFIG for execution in compliance with the order of the Supreme Court and asked BFIG to provide a business plan as required in the SPA and to execute the SPA within a period of 7 days as contained in the judgment of the Supreme Court. Again, BFIG failed to execute the SPA as ordered by the Supreme Court and could not meet the terms of transaction by close of business on Tuesday, 3rd October 2017, thus making it the third time the company had failed to meet terms of the transaction, thus indicating lack of good faith to resolve the impacts. Having seen that BFIG does not have both the technical and financial muscle to run ASCON, the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development briefed the presidency of the development and all the steps taken for resolution.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who had always been worried with how the impasse had negatively impacted the fortune of the company, gave BPE approval to go ahead with the decision of the National Council on Privatization, which makes UC Russia the owner of the plant so that full commercial operation can start and the country can begin to derive the benefits from the privatization of ASCON. Institute petitions presidency over ALSCON neglect. The Institute of Chartered Economists of Nigeria, ICEN, has petitioned the presidency over the politics and litigations frustrating the functioning of 3.1 billion Aluminium Smelting Company of Nigeria, ALSCON, in Ikotobasi, Akwa Ibom State for 23 years running. ASCON has been shut down for years, with thousands of its workers sent to the labor market without payment of entitlements. Some have died, and the economy of Ikotobasi died. Akwa Ibom and the country loses ALSCON over 1.2 trillion through the inaction of federal government, and the subsequent gas shut-in may have cost Nigeria and the operating companies all over the world worth 109.21 billion. The ownership of ASCON has been a protracted legal battle between the BFI group on one side against the UC Rusal of Russia, the erstwhile occupant of the plant before it was shut down in 2013, and the Bureau of Public Enterprise, BPE. The BFI has won several of the court cases, including that of the Supreme Court in 2012 that ordered BPE to hand over ALSCON to the BFI group. In a letter addressed to President Muhammadu Buhari and signed by the Institute's Chief Coordinator, South Nigeria, Mr. Friday Nathaniel Udo, at weekend said that there are grave consequences allowing ASCON plant to rout in political intrigue of the supposedly reverence institution, the BPE. In addition, major issues that need the federal government consideration is the total risks over a lifetime of the assets, adjoining from the sum of all yearly risks associated with physical, chemistry, economic growth, inflation, and the interest rates, and following the event along the technology and changes in physical properties that potentially impact on the function of the plant and give to an endless litigation. The grading, aging, and deterioration could potentially ruin the very essence of this 3.1 billion investment, plugging the plant value to zero sum, and a matter that requires critical and timely attention given the strategic position of the plant to economy. While hoping the inclusion of the ASCON matters during Federal Executive Council meeting for deliberation, the Institute said that their position is premised on the ground of the consequences of ALSCON continuous closure to the economy and over the rule of BPE and misinformed disposition, thus misleading. Mr. President, even at the adverse impact of action on economy and threats to national security and occasion from unemployment and revenue drift, With ASCON back on stream, the institute said it will reduce the economy of burden on import bills and increase in value added potentials of available resources, and especially to have further attrition to Naira, which has suffered a lot to 59.8% fall since 2015, making the country weaker. Local currency making exports paid for in high premium US dollar much less expensive for importers. Save the country from losses in revenue from flayed/vented natural gas amounting to 23.2 million per annum when the plant is in operation, as well as its pollutants, but not limited to carbon dioxide CO2, methane CH4, propane being associated with venting/flaying attendance consequences on human health, including heart, stroke, cardiovascular diseases, as well as greenhouse gas, a principal contributor to global warming that corresponds to sea rise and desertification currently ravaging the south and north, with several threats to social, economic, and society systems. They stated that ASCON will lead to sustainable engagement of an over 61,200 Nigerians among the unemployed, vulnerable, and working poor through the industry value chain, contributes to GDP about 47.8 per annum through the productivity of individuals' engagement across the product value chain, and will save the economy over 234.1 million from yearly annual importation. Among other things, they requested that the president should present the issue of ASCON on the Federal Executive Council (FEC) meeting for discussion, given the effects of the airline's adjudication on the matter against the age, technology changes and physical changes owing to deterioration of the assets that might eventually plug the plant to zero-sum game asset value. At the worst ripple of the economy and the people whose resources was employed for the development of plants, set up appropriate panel to investigate the continued occupation of DHL/UC Russell and its agents, contrary to the Apex Court's extant order, among others, and the very recent judgment by the Federal High Court, Abuja, dated December 17, 2019, and presided by Justice Awiru Chikiri, which Alex Okoye was ordered to be remanded in custody pending the implementation of the Apex Court, June 6, 2012, over the continued occupation and cannibalization of the plant machineries, equipment, and sold same as scrap to the public by the Eastwell owners, DHL/UC Russell, and the latter could not have been the best engaging for the preservation of plants. To further give effect to the judgment of the Supreme Court by way of consequential order, that the applicant BFI Group, its employees, and agents shall forthwith have full, uninterrupted, and unrestricted access to ALSCON to conduct a first-hand assessment of the business affairs of the company, including engineering, technical, financial, accounting, facility, environmental, personnel, dredging, and legal record pursuant to the decision of the National Council for Privatization (NPC) as approved. The Inspector General of Police and other security agencies should ensure that these orders are fully enforced. Our question is that why did a company whose ownership was stripped through the Supreme Court's judgment since July 6, 2012 still occupying the plant till today? And why did BPE leadership be allowed to use its office to frustrate takeover of ALSCON? According to the institute, the plant manufacturers has defined the late life phrase value of the plant at 25 to 30 years, and late life phrase of the installation corresponds to autotroph of assets, system or any tangible infrastructure, and this stage of its life cycle gives way to decommissioning, but if usage is still needed, then efficient and further utilization and optimization can only be achieved through a specific maintenance program. ASCON seeks resolution of gas challenges for operation resumptions. The Aluminium Smithing Company of Nigeria, ASCON, Ikotobasi, Akwa Ibom State, is set to recommence operation as the Bureau of Public Enterprises, BPE, and other critical stakeholders of the company are reaching a resolution on the major teething problem of gas confronting the company. As a first step, the Bureau has requested the federal government to consider and approve categorization of ALSCON under a strategic industry to enable it to buy gas at a concessionary price as opposed to the commercial price to enable the co-investors of the company, DHL/Russell, recommence production and operation profitably. The Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, BPE, Alex A. Okoye, which disclosed this in a statement in Abuja, recently recalled that following the signing of Addendum No. 2 to the Shares Purchase Agreement (SPA) on 17 January 2018 at the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development (MMSD), DHL/Russell submitted a road mapping detailed issues that requires urgent solution prior to the commencement of operation, which includes but not limited to the issues of gas prices and supply. Upon the resolution of the gas prices and supply issues, a new agreement will be signed in line with current realities. It will also take into consideration the trend internationally to allow ASCON remain competitive in the global aluminium product market, he stated. He assured that once the gas issue is fully resolved and agreement signed, President Muhammadu Buhari would inaugurate plans to signal the recommencement of operations by ASCON. ASCON is perhaps the biggest industrial complex in Akwa Ibom State and indeed in the South-South region, with the potential to generate thousands of jobs in the area. The resuscitation of products at the plant is one of the key priorities of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari and has attracted focused attention, having been in comatose for more than 10 years. It is expected that once the company goes full swing, It will serve as a catalyst to the development and growth of aluminum industry in Ikotobasi and in Nigeria. Will create job opportunities, conserve forex, save automobile.
It is expected that once the company goes full swing, it will serve as a catalyst to the development and growth of aluminum industry in Nigeria. It will create job opportunities, conserve forex, save the automobiles and allied industries, and create spin-off industries in Nigeria. ALSCON is perhaps the biggest industrial complex in Akwa Ibom State and indeed the South-South region, with the potentials to generate thousands of jobs in the area. The resuscitation of products at the plant is one of the key priorities of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari and has attracted focused attention, having been in comatose for more than 10 years. Upon the resolution of gas price and supply issues, a new agreement will be signed in line with the current realities. It will also take into consideration the trend internationally to allow ASCON remain competitive in the global aluminum product market.
Federal government to revive ASCON 2023. The federal government is to restart operation at the Aluminium Smithing Company of Nigeria (ASCON) in Ikotobasi, Akwa Ibom State by the end of 2023. The Minister of State for Mines and Steel Development, Uchechukwu Oga, made this known when he paid a courtesy visit to the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel, at the government house, Uyo. The President Muhammadu Buhari has directed that ASCON in Ikotobasi be revamped and reactivated before the end of the present administration. President Muhammadu has mandated that ASCON should be reactivated as soon as possible, so we believe that before the end of this administration, ASCON will be running. A lot of approvals have been gotten from the Federal Executive Council, concession for the utilization of gas. So I believe with all the efforts put in place, ASCON will be a glorious outcome, Mr. Oga said. He expressed optimism that at the end of the present administration, the company will commence operations. The minister said that his 2 days facility visit to ALSCON would ascertain the level of work at the company and assured Akwa Ibom people that glorious days await the state soon. He said legal issues around the company would be resolved with the intervention of the federal government in the moribund state of the company. It is a growing concern and we believe that they will be sorted out as we keep progressing. We believe that based on the intervention from the federal government, all the legal issues will be resolved soon, he said. Mr. Oga pointed out that the federal government seeks partnership with Akwa Ibom State government to create ease and a hinge-free atmosphere for solid mineral exploration in the state. The collaboration would create opportunities for employment and wealth creation in the state and country, he said. We believe that it's time for Akwa Ibom State to develop the solid minerals in the state. We are looking at how to synergize to collaborate with the state government so that we can have good relationship between the Ministry of Mines and Steel and the state so that exploration of minerals in the state would be with ease and hinge-free. There are a lot of solid minerals abundant in Akwa Ibom State, and we believe that the synergy we are creating will give rise to great opportunities that will lead to massive employment of Nigerian youth and wealth creation for people, he said. Responding, Mr. Emmanuel stated that the reactivation of ALSCON would stimulate the entire economy of the country. He promised that his administration would partner the federal government to ensure the aluminium factory comes back to life. The governor described the steps taken by the federal government as positive and in the interest of the country and masses. As a state, we are willing to give all the necessary support that the project can actually come out stream. Trust that we will work together and we will make it work. It is in the interest of the country. It is in the interest of the masses. It will help our economy, he said. Mr. Emmanuel thanked President Buhari for approving the steps taken towards revamping ASCON and said that reviving the company was beyond partisan politics. ALSCON, incorporated in 1989, was originally a joint venture project between the Nigerian government and two foreign technical partners, Forrestal AG of Germany and Renault International, US. Thanks for watching, and please kindly subscribe to the channel and don't forget to turn on the notification bell.